Four Nights of the Apocalypse chapter 151 has honestly been the best chapter of the year. Like, this arc has been really good, but this chapter was probably the best one, and not only giving you a whole bunch of whiplash, but also giving you an incredibly hype ending that just makes you excited because you didn't fully see it coming, but you knew it was coming. If you saw the title and thumbnail, you know what's going on, but in case you haven't somehow, I'll get to it when I get towards that section of the video. I'm incredibly excited with what this chapter means, and I cannot wait to just jump right into things. Before we get into the chapter, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps me, shows you guys enjoy the content I make on the channel, and shows you want to see more. I think we're finally at the final part of this arc, and we're going to move forward with the future of this time skip in 4 nights, and I am all here for it. Now then, let's jump right into the chapter. Chapter 151 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. Not at all a tragedy. And the first image of this chapter is just King and Nazianz finishing off Worldain with the full power Chastity with their father-child attack. And honestly, that image just looks really great, as the next page just showcases the sheer explosive aftermath, as the last thing we see is just the Drug of Yore, and we then end up seeing Worldain crushed right into a rock, spitting up blood, completely injured very badly, as the Drug of Yore is just inches away from them. And if I'm looking at this right, pretty gruesome too. It might be her intestines on the floor if I'm looking at this image correctly, which might have to blur it. No clue. It could be something else. Either way, very brutal end for Worldain, and not gonna lie, much deserved. But we go forward with the chapter as Nazianz actually manages to use his drugs to heal the rest of the family. As Ziliana, Belt, and Pao end up telling Nazianz that he's basically a genius for actually being able to heal them and feel no pain, as the cuts just turned right into scabs and fell off. DM tells Nazianz that he's a genius, but Nazianz says that he's not. And that's when Zana agrees, as she and Sixtus just state they're in immense pain after being healed by Nazianz, and they ask if he can do something about it. But Nazianz just tells them that they were hurt pretty badly in comparison to the rest of them, so he put repairing their injuries ahead of just easing their pain. And he used this with his special medicine that destroys the legions of death and even recreates missing tissue, which he called PERCIVAL. So my honest opinion on how he created it is through his experience of being healed by PERCIVAL, and he somehow managed to use that in a sense to create a brand new medicine to help people that are very close to death, as a pseudo full revive type thing, which honestly really cool, and it's pretty wholesome that they named it after Percival. Really shows just how much Percival has had an effect on Nazianz and how much Nazianz cares for him. He goes on to say that the pain is pretty hard to endure, but it shows that you're alive and well. Myrtle even says that Nazianz managed to essentially cure his coughing fit too, but Nazianz just states it's only a temporary fix right now, it's not permanent. And Tiori excitedly tells her brother that they're gonna go pick some more mullein soon to recreate the pills so he doesn't have to worry about his allergies. Nazianz smiles, but then begins to fall over as King catches him, asking if Nazianz is okay, as King himself is also incredibly exhausted and says it's best for Nazianz to take his time to rest, as Nazianz controlled the spirit spear for just after the awakening, so it must have consumed a lot of Nazianz's magical force. Nazianz isn't kind of super sure what he means by awakening, as Deanne and Tiori just smile at him, but Sixtus on the ground just kind of chilling just says, "Too bad, I thought I'd be next after Dad. But seems the Sacred Tree picked you as the 4th Fairy King." 100% confirmation, Nazianz was chosen by the Sacred Tree to be King's basic heir, so really nice confirmation, and shows that it is just the Sacred Tree that gives the authority of the Fairy Realm to whoever it wants. And then Sixtus just says casually, "Guess you really are our elder brother, huh?" As Myrtle just smiles off on the distance, but Nazianz just says no. If anyone's your brother here, it has to be Myrtle. But Myrtle, showcasing his growth as a person and just acceptance of everything that's happened, just tells Nazianz, "You don't have to be polite for me." But Nazianz just says, "Look, I'm not Myrtle. There's no evidence at all that I'm your son." Even Myrtle says, "But you guys look so much alike." And Nazianz just tries to brush it off, saying, "So I just resemble them a bit. These things happen is all. For me, my family is just 2 people, Ordo and Dolores." And while the rest of the family kind of just looks solemnly, as Nazianz seems to be essentially ignoring this, not stating it as fact, Sixtus and King hear what's really in Nazian's head, saying that he's really glad they're all safe, his mother, his father, and all of his siblings too. As Sixtus and King just laugh off, as King just tells Nazian is a bad liar, as I just like how the only people that can actually see through Nazian's just trying to be polite and just hold things in, despite fully accepting everything as is and happy that everybody's okay and he found his family, is King and Sixtus are the only people that can actually hear people's thoughts. And I just like how Deanne and Tiara are like, who's lying now? Tell us, King. And King's just saying he's trying not to hide anything. But then Myrtle brings up the very important question, how King can get back to normal. He brings up Kilbegin, stating that the curse that he's been placed under doesn't seem to be the type to be solved over time, and he flat out admits he let his guard down, letting Kilbegin get close to him, and he sacrificed his own life to put this curse on him. But Deanne just says, why not use the drug of yore to completely heal yourself, as all of us have basically stated, since it can get rid of curses. But King thinks that it was destroyed alongside Worldane in that instance with Chassiefold, which we all know isn't. Foreshadowing. As Deanne just says, what will they do? But Nazians brings up, why not go and see Hendrickson? And I just like King's whole reaction to hearing Hendrickson's name, showing that he just doesn't fully like the guy. Heck, I don't think he's really let go of his grudge against Hendrickson since the beginning of Seven Deadly Sins. Either that or he just flat out doesn't like the guy, and I kind of like that's been consistent since the first season of the series, ever since Hendrickson basically tried to be redeemed, or has redeemed himself. I just like that little piece of information that King just still does not like Hendrickson. Meanwhile, Nazians kind of idolizes him as like the best doctor in Leonis. Nazians then excitedly runs off and says, let me handle this, okay? I'll head straight to Leonis. And he gets cut off as he then gets hit with a laser through the chest, shocking everybody, as Nazians just gets shot by another 4 lasers throughout his chest and body, turning him into Swiss cheese. So, well, yeah, Nazians got basically Frieza death beamed. And to everyone's shock, as Nazians is basically teetering on the edge of death, we see Worldane right behind Nazians, as she just, with all glory, just ends up stating that I figured I'd try out this, as she ends up dropping the vial of the drug of yore from her hand, showcasing that she drank it, and it literally healed up all of her wounds. Also based off of how she's drawn in this section, with how her armor is completely destroyed through her chest. Yeah, that was her intestines in the previous page. So, man, that was a brutal panel if I ever saw one in this series. But right when Deanne is about to do something incredibly badass and actually fight the Fourth Knight, the Fourth Knight uses Shock Sting, and immediately lunges 9 laser attacks on the entire family right through all their chests. And right after everybody got healed, was dealt incredibly fatal blows in an instance, as everyone is then pushed back. Now, here's my big complaint in this instance. Well, yes, this is a good way to build up tension, and I do like this instance of her just coming back and surprising everybody. I feel like Deanne should have done more in this arc. Look, I like that she got her whole big mother moment, best mom in Shonen and all that, and it was very wholesome and sweet, but she's one of the 7 deadly sins. She literally did not do anything in terms of actual combat. She has Gideon. She could have done something, like I've stated multiple times. And the arc's not over, she could still do something at the end of the day. But at the end, she got blindsided, and this happens a lot with Deanne, even in 7 Deadly Sins. Some of her best fight moments are in group fights. She doesn't even get any real one-on-ones, and she loses a lot. Many a time, she gets a hole in her somewhere. Which I feel like is perhaps Nakaba just showcasing that he doesn't really like Deanne, maybe? I don't know. I just feel like she's getting done dirty even in the sequel series in terms of actual combats, and I think everyone can kind of agree with me on this aspect. Now, I will give a little bit of leeway because this actually was Shock Slinger. This was actually the attack that Merlin ended up using to kind of knock Meliodas unconscious while he was in assault mode. It didn't damage him, but it knocked him unconscious. So an attack that is capable of knocking out Meliodas in assault mode, I will give leeway. Does not make me any less angry at this instance. But anyway, the entire family is hit with fatal wounds to the chest, and they're all knocked back and fall to the ground while Nazian is still staggering. Bolden then says, I really was about to die just now, you know. I still had a last resort, mind you, but I wanted to test this drug too. So it all worked out. Too bad there's just 1 dose left now. Now, this is a very important piece of information, and I think something that many of us theorize Nazianz would do is going to happen in this arc right now after what's going to happen in the following chapter anyway. But she also mentioned that she had a last resort, and that wasn't the drug of yore, so maybe it was Shock Stinger, or maybe something else that will get revealed within the next chapter. But yeah, she's back to full health, she knocked everybody out, and now the only one left standing is Nazianz with 5 holes just skewering his body. And I just like this image of Worldain with the shadows and the darkness just staring down at Nazianz, just barely clinging to life, looking like a legitimate actual demon, more so than a lot of the demons in Seven Deadly Sins, and I really like that. She shows an air of menace and that she should be taken seriously. And she's surprised that Nazianz is still alive after that. Even gave him a few extra shots for all the trouble that he caused her. But she says, fine, I'll spot you one more blast, as Nazianz is starting to fade, stating that his heart has stopped beating, as now Nazianz is actually beginning to feel the embrace of death at this instance, as everything is going black. Saying, is this death? If I die, will I get to meet you? I never managed to wake you up, I couldn't find a single lead even, I couldn't even become a famed druggist, I couldn't defeat King Arthur of Camelot, and now I fall in a pathetic fashion. Please forgive me. Obviously, trying to speak to Percival in their dying moments. And man, this was really sad, and I would not have forgiven Nakaba if he had killed off Nazianz in this instance. I don't think anybody dislikes Nazianz, and Nazianz has quickly become like a fan favorite character, and this arc in particular really shone a light on Nazianz, so I feel like doing that, while it would have been a big shocking twist to amp up more stakes for the series to kill off an important character, I don't think anybody would be happy if Nazianz had died. But as Nazianz is thinking this, someone says, not gonna happen. Why do you think I went away anyway? It's because I didn't want you and my friends to get hurt. And now you're going to die in a place like this? That'll never happen on my watch. As just in that instance, as Nazianz is beginning to fade away, beginning to cry, Nazianz's eyes begin to light up again, as someone has their hand on his head, stating, I'm the one who needs to apologize. That was selfish of me. You all believed in me, but I left you behind. So you don't have to forgive me, okay? Just let me fight with you one more time. As Worldain, holding the drug, ends up stating, wait, where did you come from? Stating, who are you, with the last picture of the chapter being Percival, standing, holding and healed fully Nazianz, staring down Worldain, ending the chapter. Percival, my boy, is back, and he looks awesome. Granted, he's naked, but the guy got a growth spurt in the last 2 years. No longer like 5 feet tall, if I'm guessing that correct, if I'm remembering correctly. But man, my dude is jacked also, and he's got the mane of a freaking lion. This is honestly a really cool last image to end the chapter off on, and I couldn't have thought of anything better. Now, Percival coming back, he's obviously probably going to heal the rest of King and Deanne and their whole family, and fight off Worldain. Now, let's be honest. Percival coming back this arc was definitely a high possibility, especially with the little mini Percival bubble that we saw previously in this arc when Nazianz's broken arm was healed. But we all figured it would just be a small nudge and a tease until Percival came back in a later arc. But Nakaba decided to give Percival back to us in this arc, and based on how things were progressing, based on how this chapter went, I think he executed this perfectly. Now, would I have liked to wait a bit longer, catch up with the rest of the 4 nights before Percival comes back? Absolutely. But I do think with how this has been portrayed and executed, I'm happy with it. While it's not in a unexpected fashion in terms of him getting up being in the spare mode, this was honestly great. Nazianz on the brink of death, Percival was actually able to see what was going on with Nazianz, and right in that instance, goes back to his body and rushes over to save Nazianz before he dies, and to face off against the would-be killer. And this is going to be Percival's actual full fight against one of the 4 perils, because Pelgar wasn't even an actual fight. Pelgar was just playing around with Percival. Ironside destroyed Percival, and now he's getting his full actual debut fight against a peril, and I think we might actually end up just getting an actual defeat of one of the perils, like fully. And I cannot wait to see how strong Percival might actually be now, and how much of a beatdown he's going to give Worldain. This was a great chapter, and I'm so happy that Percival is back. And now I think we're going in a much different direction than what I was expecting, but one that I'm honestly happy to explore. Also, I just can't wait to see everyone's reactions to Percival being back, whether it be his friends or the rest of the Four Knights. I'm very excited to see how this is portrayed and played out in the rest of the series, and I know for a fact it's going to make me tear up like it did with this chapter. But what did you guys think? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Did you like Percival coming back? Do you think we should have waited a bit longer? Do you think that this return was executed properly, or did you not like any of this? And once more, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys what the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I've got an idea for another Four Knights video, but I'm going to wait a little bit for a break before I actually get that one out there, if possible. But with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.